Well, hey there, this is Jerry, and I'm getting started on another episode of What's Broke Today. And today we're back with our 8N that's been sitting for years, and it's getting started on the electrical. And alternator, of course, was I got the pulley is I took the nut off and was going to take this apart, but this thing's locked up. When you look down inside of it, it's all rusty in there. This external voltage regulator, I'm guessing the mice chewed the wires off of it. And I was going to take this up and get it rebuilt, but the time I got to think about what parts cost and labor, it really isn't cost effective. So I ordered a brand new unit, and the one I took off was a Ford early generation, probably something from the, I'm going to say early 70s um, alternator that used an external regulator, and that's what the wires are chewed on the outside of that one. Well, this is a GM, I think they call it a 10SI, single wire, regulators built in. The output on, like the Ford alternator, that's around a 60 amp. Well, this thing, when they test it, shows it put out 72 amps. So that's a good thing. And then also, the belt I took off, the mice had a heyday. Plus, it's old and got a lot of wear. So get rid of that. I have a brand new belt. Um, Going to use this old wiring for now, but I'm going to get around, I think, and probably replace most of it just because, I mean, it's old and nasty. But I figure just to get us by till, and get it running so at least I can go maybe take it for a drive, I'll just hook that back up. That, and I did, while I had the alternator off, I zip tied the spark plug wires up to the distributor so that maybe they won't get into the alternator belt. All right, well, I went ahead and got my belt put on. I had zip tied my spark plug wires to keep them away from the alternator belt. And I was getting ready to put the new alternator on, and the new alternator has a smaller hole in it. So the original 7/16 bolt won't fit. And instead of fighting and drilling that out, I figured, well, that ain't that big a difference, down here. So I'm just going to take my 3/8 bolt and put through there. Like so, and then I brought a nylock nut to put on it, so I don't have to worry about it backing off and coming loose. Originally, they had, I don't know, so I got to use a different bolt here. I got to bolt the right size, and going to use their piece of pipe for the spacer that was originally on it. That might be just up too high. I might have to turn this over because the slot is closer to this edge than it is to this edge. But that's just a 9/16 headed bolt to swap that. So let's try this again and see if this will work. We can get that up there close. That'd probably slide better if I had another washer on the other side. Let's just slide that in and we'll tighten up this front bolt a little. And really I need a washer in there. Kind of shim that in between the bracket. So let's see how all this lines up before I start getting washers. But yeah, I'm going to have to take and flip that bracket over so I can slide the alternator in just a little farther. Because that, when I get in there, it starts hitting the alternator case. All right, well, I got the this bracket flipped over. I went and got another flat washer. Go there. And well, before I put everything back together, I went and got my flat washer to put down here. Mainly because I thought, well, I get this all together, I don't want to take it apart again. And when we're testing phase, it's one thing, but okay, there we go. Got the belt on there, and let's pull this down. And the belt on this does not have to be excessively tight. Oh, but we'll pull that out. Okay. Main thing is we're tight enough. Now, yeah, I need a little tighter there because I can slip the belt with my fingers. So, nice thing about this is the sheet metal that makes up the hood is pretty stout. I may still need to tighten that up some more, but I think for now that will work. All right. Now something that makes me wonder is that hadn't got power going to it, so I got to figure out where the power source is. There's probably something else that's hooked up wrong, but see that goes up, follows that tube, comes up here and goes to the amp gauge, and then off the amp gauge let's see, that wire goes to the solenoid. So technically, unless that amp gauge is bad, there should be power down there. So, but But I guess the good thing is now I can start this thing up and run it for a little bit, because at least I'll have a belt on it and turning the water pump. And yeah, so let me fire this thing up and run it for a little bit, and I'm going to do some electrical checks and I'll come back. All right, well, our test drive went well. That do need a little bit of adjustment on the carburetor for idle, but with no exhaust on it, it probably is okay. But I don't know why I idle it all the way down. The speed's set too low, so it idles and just stops. Run good. I kept about 30 pounds of oil pressure the whole time I was out driving it around. Engine warmed up good. I didn't have any smoke. Yeah, I'll say couldn't ask for it to actually have done any better. It started out, I only had, I guess it'd be second and fourth gears. After it warmed up a little, then it loosened up and 1 and 3 started working. Run the hydraulics up and down. They did okay. Now it does need the fluid in the transmission and rear end changed, because I think it's kind of milky looking, got some water in it. But our next big step is everything cool off, and then well, I need to refill the air cleaner with, because this has an oil bath air cleaner, so it sucks the air in through here, down through and into the oil and out, and the oil is what traps all the dirt. And if everything was here, there'd actually be a jar on here that so when it sucks the air in, the way these fins are made, it gets the air to swirling. So the big pieces of dirt, it slings it out, and they fall down into a glass jar, like a mason jar. But that part's missing. Yeah, get a hose clamp. Does look like I got a little bit of a leak right here at the front. I just noticed, but I got a feeling that's oil leaking around the gasket for the governor, because that feels and looks like engine oil. So probably get a wrench and tighten that up, but that maybe have to pull that apart and put a new gasket on it. But in the overall, I can't complain. But I'll come back when we get ready to redo this wiring. Well, getting ready to go to the Ford tractor to get a little bit of electrical done so we can start it with a key. I have a piece of fusible link wire to put on the alternator wire for that way, just in case we have a short, it doesn't burn something up. I got a little bit of split wire loom. I have a huge assortment of terminals. I got some miscellaneous small wire, because I'm going to run new wires from the switch up to the coil, and from the alternator back to the probably go to the starter solenoid instead of straight to the battery. Got to think we got to wire in is we'll have our alternator, and we got our coil. We'll have our battery. Um, at some point, we're going to have to replace the amp gauge. And we'll have our key switch. Which will have a battery coming in, start going out, and accessory going out. Or I guess it'll be well, and we'll have an ignition. That's what I was trying to have it drawn a blank spot, but we got to have ignition that's hot while we're cranking. And then we have an accessory, so when the key's on, Battery coming in is here, and then the center there's the start, and it's all labeled. So um, we'll have the starter solenoid down here. So we'll have to have a wire come from that down here. I'll probably come off the side at the battery cable down to get power to the ignition switch. And then, yeah, our ignition's got to come out, go down to the solenoid, or to the coil. And then our alternator's got to come up. We'll run those next to each other. I think I'll come straight across and take it to the starter solenoid. And of course, the ground goes to the tractor, to the engine. And we'll come off the battery cable and also come down to there. So it's very rudimentary, but that helps me keep tabs. I already know that there's a wire on there for the start that's blue, so probably won't use the blue. I think what I may do is I got some red wire to use for the charging wire. I think I'll use the white wire for ignition. And I also got to find somewhere. Let's see if it's in here. And it is not. When I leave the starter solenoid and go to the ignition switch, I'm going to put a fuse in there. So, and actually, that fuse may be, yeah, right down here. I got these inline fuse holders. Buy them in bulk, they're cheaper. So I'll probably wire this in, and just for the heck of it, probably put a 30 ampere in that. So let me get a few more things together. We'll go to the tractor and start building wires. To get ready to disconnect stuff, I'm going to start out up here by the amp gauge and cut the wire coming to the alternator. Since when I checked it, it was hot. I don't know that I had what I consider good current going to it, but it was hot. And then we got our yellow wire that goes for the ignition. I'm just going to come back here and cut it, because main reason for getting rid of it is, well, it's old, and something's been up here. Looks, oh, that might have actually been smashed. It looked originally like something chewed on it, but let's come up here to the coil, and oh, helps if you get the right wrench. And I'll probably let him wire up his lights and that stuff, so we will talk about that after I get it where it starts and runs with the key. Okay, I'm going to lay my washers over there. Okay, get up there. Cut that zip tie, and then I can pull the okay. See, there's another spot where dang rodents have been chewing. The only thing that saved this wire going to the coil was that they actually did route it inside of the tube with the spark plug wires. So the rodents couldn't get to it, but I'm going to get in there and cut the terminal off the end so I can pull it back through from back here. Yeah, I don't know if something was chewing or if that actually almost looks more like it was smashed. So that gets rid of those two. And of course our ignition wire up here where I didn't cut it just has a spade connector to go onto the resistor. So let's add that to the pile. And let me get my new wire and let's measure out our lengths. Okay, and just to start out, I'm just going to kind of feed this up through there. So through it behind there, kind of like so, and then I got to come there. And back like that. Oh. I'm actually running it over. And I couldn't get the wires loose on the back of the old amp gauge. So for now, we're just going to run it straight to the battery, but leave the wire needed to get it where I want it on the starter. And I'm going to cut it just a little bit long. But like when I got to the starter and I changed sides of the cylinder, or the when I got to the amp gauge and changed sides of the tractor, I just put a kink in it so I know where I was at so I could measure to go on down. And I know when I put the fusible link on, that's going to add some more length. So that gets that wire figured out. And then pretty much I can take my white wire going to my coil, and I'm going to make it the same length as this, coming up almost to the amp gauge before I separate it out of my loom. So, all right, well, I cut a piece of wire loom about the length I wanted it, and then I took my white and my red wire and taped them together loosely. And then I'm actually going to take these wires. I got this cool little tool that you can put these in to put them in this loom, and this one's a little too big, looks like, but if I get it going, it'll work. There we go. So that's my tape I taped the wires together with is hanging me up. There we go. All right. And then I can take that off of there and I can slide this down. I'll pull the white wire out. Okay. Okay. I got cats a helping. We'll strip that and we'll go to our box. Terminals, which the cat wants to play in, it looks like. I think this is the one I need. That through there. I may, before I finalize all of this, I might actually solder these. Okay, and I'll need a red one to go on here. Tape around there once. I'm going to tape it to the end of the loom. Then we'll go over to the tractor and figure out exactly where the white one needs to come out. And then we'll tape it there. Alright, so I got that stuck in there, and then I want to make sure I get this clear back here. And I think I got that pretty close while I was sitting over there on the back of the trailer. I'll pull out just a hair more. Let's make one or two loops around the wire. Then stuff the wire back down in the loom. Or attempt to, I should say. And then we'll tape them together. Then we'll pull this back through. I can take my 12 volt, put on the alternator. See if I get my hand in here and put the nut, the washers on top. Okay, and then right there. Okay, because yeah, I got to keep this. I ended up zip tying this up here to keep it away from the exhaust. And now I get my zip ties, and we'll zip tie my conduit to the spark plug wire tube. Well, I was hoping to get electrical on the 8N Ford done in just one episode, but I was editing. It's just, yeah, there's no way of getting it done. So this is going to be part 3 of 8N Ford tractor and part 1 of the 8N Ford tractor electrical. Um, that we're getting near in the end, and I'll say just stay tuned for part 2 of our electrical segment. And well, I do appreciate you watching, and I'll say enjoying having all my subscribers out there. And hey, if you're not a subscriber, better join on in, because I'll tell them what else you're going to see on What's Broke Today. Thank you.